During my biomechanical assessments, the fourth test I like to look at is the Soleus endurance test. Now, this test isn't really well supported in the literature. It's one I've sort of developed myself clinically, but I feel it gives us some useful information to work with. Now, we know the soleus is an incredibly important muscle, especially for runners or multi-direction athletes. We know that during running it takes up to 8 times our body weight in load, and therefore it needs to be both really strong but also really enduring. It's probably the most important muscle when it comes to runners or athletes. Now, in terms of what we're looking for during this assessment, I want to reiterate this isn't something that's backed up in the literature or the evidence. I've likened it to the calf or the gastrocnemius endurance test, and therefore I look for 30 good repetitions. But I'm not only looking for the number of repetitions, I'm also looking for the quality. Now, it's very likely when you perform this test or one of your clients does, you'll notice quite a jagged eccentric control, and that for me is really important. That tells me that we don't have great control through the soleus, and therefore we may need to spend a little bit of time slowly eccentrically loading it, learning how to control the soleus, how to move eccentrically and concentrically. And clinically, I've seen some really good results by working on the soleus, especially if we've noticed any issues during this assessment. And during the assessment, we're going to be looking at the number of repetitions they can do. Again, likening it to the calf endurance test, we're going to be looking for around 30 repetitions. But additionally, what I like to look at is the control, especially the eccentric control through the movement. Now, if you rewind that video and you look at my eccentric control, you'll notice it's quite jagged, it's quite juddery, and that suggests that I don't have great control through that soleus. And it's definitely something I might work on. If a client presented with lower limb pain and they showed that on assessment, I would be targeting their soleus during their rehab.